Good morning. Today I'm going to be talking about the issues in teaching students with low incidence disabilities. I am a special education teacher at a middle school. I teach 5th through 8th grade students with low incidence disabilities as well as other disabilities. This is something that I face every single day in my classroom, and it's very dear to my heart because these are issues that me and my team try to resolve every day. So this research has really helped with that. My introduction. The three things that we're going to talk about today are how do we determine the least restrictive environment for a student? Where is that student going to be most successful, as well as be around their same age peers as most as possible, and get the best education they need and gain some information towards the general education curriculum. I'm going to talk about some assistive technology. I'm going to talk about what, if any, is going to be beneficial to these students. What are some limitations to that? Then lastly, we're going to talk about some transition plans. How are we going to take that plan that we implement in their IEP every single day at school and transition that into their life beyond school? There are much, much, much more issues out there that special education teachers face every day with these low incidence disability students. But these are the three that we're going to focus on today. Least restrictive environment. Even though there is evidence that social interaction and placement with same age peers does give them an opportunity to grow, gives them an opportunity to improve their communication skills, gives them an opportunity to improve some employment skills and just gain that knowledge for things outside of school. Also improves their social skills. They're able to be socially interactive with their same age peers as well as their teachers and their aides and the other school personnel. Even though there is evidence to all of this, segregation of students with disabilities is still very, very, very high. Even though we see that this social interaction and this placement with same age peers and the improvement in communication and all of those things that I just talked about, we still tend to place these students in a segregated setting, maybe because it's easier for us, or maybe because we say, oh, this student can't do this work, so we just need to stick them in this classroom. But that is not the case. Every single student is different, and they need to have an opportunity to learn. They need to have an opportunity to be successful. They need to have an opportunity to be able to be in that regular education classroom as much as possible, to interact with their classmates, and to get as much exposure to the regular education curriculum as possible. Assistive technology. What, if any? How do we know if an assistive technology is going to be helpful for that student? If a student has trouble with communication, what communication devices can we implement to help them communicate their thoughts and their feelings and communicate questions and responses to questions to the best of their ability? If that student is immobile, what can we give them to help them be mobile around the school, around the classroom? Help them be able to access all the things in the classroom that a regular student can. There are so many more. But with this assistive technology, there are huge limitations. I come from a small school district where cost is a huge factor. Our budget's low because we're a small school district in a rural community. And not only that, but majority of the students that I service come from a low-income family with multiple children in the family, so their parents can't even give this assistive technology to them because it's just the cost is a huge limitation. Availability, where we live, this availability for this assistive technology isn't available where we're at. We'd have to outsource and find somewhere we could get that information. Information is a huge limitation. Me, as a special education teacher, I would need to know the ins and outs, how to use this assistive technology, how it's going to best fit this student. I need to train my staff. I need to train their parents to be able to use this assistive technology. And that training is a limitation. It's cost effective. it's difficult to get me out of the classroom to get that information. This assistive technology can be, like I said, communication devices. It can be devices that help them be independent, make them be mobile around the classroom, around their household. We need to think about all these things before we implement that assistive technology. We also need to figure out what limitations we can overcome to get them what they need. Transition plans. Once we figure out their least restrictive environment, we implement these assistive technology devices. We need to implement what they did learn in their least restrictive environment, as long as give them that assistive technology to go with them to help them be successful. We need to figure out what they need, what assistance they're going to need after school. We need to figure out what therapies they might still need, what assistance in the household they might need. We need to figure out all these things based on their needs, their interests, and their strengths that we've been working on so hard in this IEP from day one. We need to implement all of that into their transition plans, so we make sure they were successful in the classroom. We need to make sure they're successful much further beyond. We need to make sure they're successful in life, in their future endeavors, in whatever interests them, whatever strengths they have, to help them be a productive member of society, help them be that person that they want to be and what their parents want to see them be. Transition plans are something I struggle with because I am at the middle school level. So I see them when they are younger, and I'm starting to implement all these things that they're going to implement in their transition plan. But ultimately, when they get to high school, whenever they're getting ready to graduate and go beyond, that transition plan is super important for those high school special education teachers. But all these things start from day one, the minute they get on their IEP. We need to be making this plan so that that transition is much smoother for them in their future. Implications. I implement this stuff every single day in my classroom. I need to know each individual is different. They have their own unique needs. They have their own unique interests. They have their own unique personalities. To where we need to figure out we need to know this student from top to bottom. We need to get to know their family. We need to get to know their surroundings. We need to get to know what they are capable of. We need to do ultimately what's best for them. One student might be better off in the regular education classroom more than student B. Maybe student B needs some more one-on-one interaction. They need more help getting around. We need to figure out what these are to make sure we're doing what is best for them in the classroom. We need to give them an education that will help them their entire lives. Maybe that is just fine motor skills, being able to get themselves dressed, tie their own shoes, and get around to pour their own cereal. Whatever it might be, we need to do what's best for them that's going to benefit them in the long run. Maybe going to college and getting a college education is not what they want or not what they're capable of, but we need to steer them in the direction that best makes them successful for the rest of their lives. This is something that's very dear to my heart as I work with these students in my classroom. I think about what strengths my students with low incidence disabilities have, what they will be able to do. We don't focus on what their disability might limit them from. We focus on what they can do and what is so impressive whenever they speak. I have a student who, he is immobile. He's in a wheelchair. He can't get around by himself. His academics are very low, but you can carry on a conversation and tell jokes to each other like it's just the best thing ever. He can sit there and tell me a joke and make me laugh, and I can do the same to him. And those are the things that we hold on to is those strengths and those things that are going to benefit them later on in life. Here are my references. All the information that I got for this presentation came from these references, as well as from my everyday experiences in the classroom with students with low incidence disabilities. These are some struggles that I face every day, not only me, but my team, my related service providers, my aides, my principal, all of us that work together, we struggle with this, as does every special education teacher. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we just figure out what is best for this child, What is going to be the best plan for this child, not only right now in school as they're learning and they're growing, but what are we going to do to make them successful after school? I thank you for listening. I hope you learned something from my presentation. Thank you.